Hi and welcome back to the Paperless Movement YouTube channel. Today we will dive into ClickUp and checking out the different statuses. For those who are following us, you know we have an ICOR template that we have inside ClickUp, and that's a specific setup when it comes to statuses. It's the easiest way to set up ClickUp comprehensively, and we know many of you guys are using it already, and we have the ClickUp like a pro course. In this course, if you're in the implementation part, there was a comment below the work streams and automation things by Devin, who is saying, Tom Solid, at minute 115 you mentioned that the ICOR template, the status is not used, but instead the status is covered through a custom field. However, in the video you don't explain why it should be done this way. In what scenario would you suggest such setup, and what are the advantages? And if the status is then represented through the custom field, what native statuses would you set up for the task? Would you ever change the status? Thank you very much. So we always try our best to deliver the concepts and the workflows behind ICOR. We are also very thankful to get feedback like this that shows us there might be some gaps, and that's why we are doing this video and sharing it with everybody, as it might be of interest to learn how we are using statuses inside ClickUp. So let's dive in.
Paperless movement, your productivity, your way.
Here we are in a fresh ICOR template, so it's better to explain it there. And as you already mentioned, task statuses are actually reflecting the priority. So task 1, task 2, and so on. So a speedy is a task less than 15 minutes. Urgent is really something that needs to be focused on immediately, otherwise it's business interruption. And in progress are the standard tasks that you have there. The other two is then in review. So it's done and somebody else needs to care for this task and then complete. So that's really important to understand that we made these statuses across all the different sections here. So no matter where you create a task, it will be the same statuses. Even in your work streams, when you create a work stream, let's say for video creation, we have the same statuses. So why is this? The reason is for reducing complexity in ClickUp. It's so easy to get overwhelmed in ClickUp and make for everything individual setups and different statuses and so on. That's what we took away by doing this. We also removed the priority field here. As you see in this template, there is no priority field as it's done by here. So if you follow the ICOR principles and you set something into progress, it already has the highest priority because that's something you need to work on right now. If you put it into urgent, that's the only exception. If something appears that is much more important, as you know, servers are down and the website is broken or anything like that needs immediate attention, then it goes to urgent. And speedies is just optional. We could even remove this because in ICOR you learn that speedies are usually handled in an external tool as it is a personal task, but we can have speedies still in here. So if you have a lot of tasks going on, you have a differentiator between in progress, which is a lengthy task that usually takes more than 15 minutes, or then a speedy that is less than 15 minutes. So therefore, people can organize their day and work through the speedies in a specific time block. So the big advantage having it this way is now that we can go to the top level, and let me assign these tasks that I just created here to myself. So now whenever we assign tasks, they also need to have a due date, and the due date is not a specific date that needs to be done, but it's the first date where we start planning out the task. So therefore, I would pick the due date for next Monday in order to work on it. If I start working on it today, I can put this, but usually it would be then on Monday, and then the Monday we have the agenda meeting, and there we plan out the whole week when we want to work on what task. Or we just keep it on there. All right. So now for this demonstration, I just will add this all to I will add this to the previous Monday. So it will actually appear in our views. Because now by doing this, I have all the tasks that are assigned to me easily visible on the top layer. So when you go now to the top of your workspace, you see all the tasks appearing. I can see, I already see, I didn't change the status here. So these are in progress. You can also have a global automation. Also, we always say be careful with automations. But you could have a global automation as soon as you add a due date. It sets it into progress. you can mess up things with automation. So be careful. We rather do manually the things by having the proper overviews. Now you see I'm here in this week's view and it's filtering by the due date. Okay. Is it this week? Is it last week, which is the last 1 week, or is it overdue? I only want to see the tasks I need to work on right now. And that's where people usually get overwhelmed in ClickUp. They go to the top level and they see a whole list of tasks. So if there are not more, but if I would remove this, I would get a lot of tasks and people are confused. Then nothing is defined. Each task has a different status, and this is where confusion starts. However, you also ask for, are there exceptions? Well, the thing is, we made the ICOR ClickUp template really as simple as possible so you can build on top of it and you can scale with this easily and then adjust it accordingly. Instead of trying to think ahead of time and try to set up your ClickUp for each the work streams or making a bunch of folders and all this, this becomes very messy very quickly if you don't have predefined areas there. If you don't have defined what this actually means, access and all this. So therefore, you start with this. But now let's go to our actual paperless movement workspace. And here we have work streams. And here you see the YouTube work stream, the podcast work stream, and so on. So if I go now to the podcast work stream, for example, you see that first of all, we have a custom task type that we set up here. And when we click on this, you see, oh, there's no in progress, there's no speedies. We were using for 1 year the principle that we had in place for ICOR. So all the other areas, projects and operations, they still use all the same status fields. But now in the work stream, we changed it here. So we could, what you mentioned already in your comment, we could create a custom field and make the statuses of this video here. So we have these statuses in the status field here. However, for the sake of automations and using Zapier integration and so on, we then decided to use it there and made an exception. So now it's easier to show this, but you could perfectly keep the statuses the way it is, have the custom fields here, and you get the same view here. So if I don't want to mess around here, but let's use something we didn't start yet. And we say, okay, this is the next thing that we want to record. And that's the one that is already uploaded. Okay. Now you see, I easily can understand what status this is in. However, you could achieve the same with custom fields. So that's our own decision. We have a proper definition behind it. We have a reasoning why we changed the statuses. And this is really key. That's something that you learn in the automation like a pro course where you set up your work streams and you really understand why do you have the setup as it is. You see, we have a very complex setup here and there is 8 automations behind this. We are going deep and complex, but each iteration of the setup started on the basic ICOR template and then we build upon of it very carefully. And that's really key, especially if you're working with a team. You don't want them to get confused and to remove the confusion. That's why we created this setup so they always can go to the top layer. They know exactly what they need to work on right now, this week. As you learn in the project management like a pro course, the goal is to understand what you need to work on this week and what's the highlight of the week. And that's where we use the task type milestone. So whenever there is a milestone, we know this is something that needs to get done this week, or at least is the focus task that we need to work on this week. So if I go then as an employee in here or then into my home section, I will only see these few tasks for my week. And I know that this is the highest priority I need to work on. That's the highlight of the week. Whenever I have time or I run out of energy and I can work on these others, I can do so. And if I have a routine that will handle all the speedies, then I can immediately see, okay, what is less than 50 minutes? Let's quickly do this, man. I still have 30 minutes left before I leave or to the next meeting. What could I do? Well, let's do the speedies. And that gives you the easy overview whenever you are working in ClickUp. So if you really into project management and you're suffering from overwhelm, from confusion in your team and so on, then I invite you to our membership where we teach the ICOR methodology. Part of this is the project management like a pro course where we teach you the tool agnostic concepts and workflows to streamline and improve your project management setup and also skills. And if you're inside ClickUp and you really like ClickUp and you're using ClickUp already, there is also a ClickUp like a pro course included in the membership where we apply all these principles. This was just a quick overview that you saw there. And if you haven't already, there's also a ClickUp beginner course on the YouTube channel. So make sure to check it out if you're completely new to ClickUp. But we found out that this setup is the best no matter. Our co-founder, Paco Cantero, is running 4 businesses in parallel, and this is what he's using. That's the setup that he's using, and he's using multiple project management tools. So all this is covered by ICOR. This was just a quick insight there, and I hope this helped to understand the ICOR ClickUp template better. And if you find this interesting, share it with your friends. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so I can catch you up next time.
Everybody